A lot of Amazon sellers start sourcing products in China and they use Alibaba.com website. In this video, you will get a lot of tips and good recommendations how to work with Alibaba website. What is the top one question asked by sellers in regards of Alibaba? You will also get some tips about how to build a relationship with businesses in China. And in this video, our guest is Kian Golzari. He runs a Facebook group and YouTube channel called Sourcing with Kian. He has sourced thousands of products and he visited 20 Canton fairs, and he has a lot of experiences living and working in China. So listen to this interview and meet also the host of this interview, LISETT LEES. She works with different Amazon brands. And before you jump into the conversation, don't forget to subscribe below into the YouTube channel of Orange Klik, because here we talk with different Amazon experts and sellers and software creators.
Hello, Kian. It's nice to have you here. Could you first introduce yourself a little bit?
For sure, yeah, pleasure. Thanks very much for having me today. My name is Kian Golzari. I've been living and working in China for the past 10 years, on and off. And in that time, I've developed over 2,500 products, visited more than 500 factories, and attended more than 20 Canton fairs. And that's led me to work with a lot of different brands, such as the NBA, the NFL, United Nations, Olympics, Ministry of Defense, as well as supplying like big box retailers in the US and UK and Europe, and also helping Amazon private label sellers as well. So like it's been cool, like being able to work with many, many different like customers to understand like everyone else's like customer needs, and then just sort of now bring that into actionable advice for Amazon sellers and how they can best apply that to like their sourcing knowledge.
Okay, so you first a little bit more about your background. So you said you were living in China. So were you doing the same work while living there?
Yeah, for sure. So I had to travel. I'm from the UK originally. I had to travel from the UK to China quite often. And then because I was doing it every 3 months and constantly going to different cities, different hotels, I thought, let me just move here and live here. And then I can just do this a lot better and a lot easier. So I moved to Shanghai and I lived there for like 3 years full time. And in that time in Shanghai, like every week I would just travel to a different factory depending on whatever product I had to develop. So I really used that time living in China to build my knowledge, develop relationships, like go to as many factories as possible and really just educate myself the best way to actually make products.
Okay, and did you learn any Chinese?
Yeah, I learned a little bit. I learned some Mandarin. The problem was that like in Shanghai, everyone speaks English. I feel that Shanghai is not the real China. Like I call Shanghai like China light because it's not, you don't get a full experience. But as soon as you leave Shanghai, then you're in the real China and then you have to kind of speak a little bit. So I know the basics.
Okay, cool. So today we will talk about a little bit about sourcing and sourcing from Alibaba. So I think I will just first ask, like, what is the most asked question about sourcing that let's say Amazon sellers are asking from you?
Normally people just ask like, how do I find the best supplier and how do I get the best price? But it's all relative to, you know, the type of product that you're doing, the type of market you're trying to serve, whether you're trying to add innovation to your product. But the most important thing I feel is that aligning with the right manufacturer and aligning with the manufacturer which understands your vision and purpose. Because if you go on Alibaba, you can find thousands of suppliers. So you have a lot of choice, but it's up to you to work with the one that you feel will best serve you. And that's not necessarily even with price and quality, which are important, but also with like delivery time, lead times, possibly offering you credit, being able to maybe ship products for you or work with like different inspection companies or understand how inspections work, understand how Amazon works, things like that. So there's a lot of different variables which will basically put you in the best position to win in the long term.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think like one of the challenges that Amazon sellers are having is like finding the balance between like the cost of the product and the profit margins and also the product quality. So what's your take on that? Like, do you have any tips like how to find the balance and how to work out the best products for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing you can do is really educate yourself first on what is the market price of that product. And that comes down to having a very detailed either RFQ form or specification sheet or tech pack, whatever product it is you're doing, but just have as much information as possible on one sheet so that you can send the same information to various different suppliers. Because what I find is that a lot of people just like, let's say you're looking for an outdoor furniture chair. They type in outdoor furniture chair into Alibaba and they find maybe like, 5 or 6 different factories and say, what's the price of this? What's the price of this? But everyone's quoting on different things. Like some suppliers are offering aluminium tubing, some are offering steel tubing, some are offering polyester fabric, nylon fabric. The thickness of the steel is different. So like that's why it's so important to have like an RFQ or a specification sheet to say, right, this is exactly what I need for you to quote for. And you send that out to 5 or 6, 10 different suppliers, and you start to get your prices back. And then you can educate yourself on, right, what is the market price for this product? Everyone's quoting $7, $7.10, $7.15. So you know that's the rough price. But then if someone offers you like $5, well, you know that's too good to be true and there's a problem because you've educated yourself. But too many people, I feel, just type in a product, find the price, and like, oh, this one's really cheap. The others are too expensive. I'm going to go with this one. And then they have quality problems later on once they order it, manufacture it, and they get their negative reviews.
Okay. And based like on your experience, what's the best like method to send RFQs to get like really good replies from the manufacturers?
Sure. And this is a really, really interesting question because I feel that like a lot of people, however they've learned Amazon, let's say through like courses and stuff like that, it's a very general approach that they say, okay, here's your template email that you have to write to a manufacturer, be like, give me your best price, give me your MOQ, delivery time, and all this sort of stuff. But think of all the inquiries that these manufacturers on Alibaba receive, which are just templates. Everyone's talking the same stuff. They might receive over 100 inquiries a day, and then maybe only 5 of them reply, and then less than 1 actually place an order. So I feel sympathy for the manufacturers that get a lot of inquiries that don't really lead to orders, and everyone talks in the same way. So the way I like to approach manufacturers, I do my research on them first. So I will go on their Alibaba listing. I'll see what markets they supply. I'll see what certificates they have. I'll see how many workers they have in their factory, and I would just say, hey, I've been in the outdoor industry for like 10 years. We're a specialist brand focusing on these type of products. I really like your factory because you have this certificate of testing, which means you can manufacture goods to a high standard, which is a very good fit for us. I also see that you supply the North American market, and that is also the market that we're supplying. So you must be compliant and really understand the testing standards that are required for that market. Based on this, I would like to place a trial order with you, and let's go with maybe 300 pieces as our first order. And if it works well, then we can look to build it up. And now you've kind of like showed your leverage, you've showed your experience, you've showed your knowledge, and you're not just like everyone else writing this like templated like email. And then the manufacturer reads that compared to all the other ones, and they're like, okay, cool, this is someone I want to gain their business because they seem like a long-term customer, that if we do this right, they care about the right things, about quality and things like that. And then, okay, let's just do their 300 piece order because we know there's going to be a bigger one coming later. But if you just said, hey, what's your best price for 300 pieces? Like, they're not really that interested. So I like to do my research on the manufacturer by clicking on the profile, see what I like about them. And that's a more time consuming approach, but it's quality over quantity. You want to align with the best manufacturers, not just the quickest one who will give you the best price, you know?
Okay, I think it's like a really good idea to go like more personal to get like better service and better replies. I think it's really worth doing it because I think a lot of sellers are like having challenges getting information out and getting like good information out and getting just like the good communication going with the manufacturers. Okay, but do you have like any tips to like avoid like scammers? We know that on Alibaba there are like people who present themselves as manufacturers, so how to get them off the radar?
So the best thing I could suggest is that once you like narrow down your sort of criteria and you're sort of looking at the manufacturers, well, the first thing when you type in what you're looking for, at the top it defaults to search by products. I change the product tab to suppliers. So you type in what you're looking for and then it lists all the suppliers for that product. And then I look down through the list, and let's say, again, let's go for outdoor furniture chairs. Let's say the area that specializes in outdoor furniture chairs is like Yongkang or Hangzhou area. And you can see that because the city which manufactures that product, that always comes up as a first name of the company's name. So you scroll down the list and you see like Yongkang, Xiamen, you see it coming up very regularly. So that's the area where they must specialize. And then if you see other cities like Shanghai, Shenzhen, Beijing, you can almost rule them out because you know that they aren't set up in a place which specializes in that product. And then after that, what I like to do is look at the number of years that they've been in business. And at the top, again, it tells you like 2 years, 5 years, 12 years. And that's like how many years they've been on Alibaba. And I tend to avoid any manufacturer which has been on Alibaba for like 1 to 5 years because Amazon FBA has kind of grown popular in the last sort of 5 years. And if they've just come on the platform at the same time that Amazon's become popular, then they're kind of, I would assume that they're in it, and I could be wrong, but it's more chance that they're in it just to get like your online orders rather than having been there before Amazon got popular and they were a more established factory. And then the last thing you can do is that if you click on their supplier profile, you can click on products, and then let's say you're looking for outdoor furniture chairs, and you see like patio chair, beach chair, garden chair. You're like, okay, cool, they specialize in chairs. But if you see like outdoor chair, fidget spinner, iPhone cable, then you know they're just jumping on trends and they're looking for like hot sale products, so they're not really a specialist. And that's kind of like the three sort of main criteria that I followed in order to align with the direct manufacturers, so you know you're not dealing with someone who could possibly out there to scam you.
So how many years yourself you have sourced from Alibaba, and can you tell us like how the platform has changed during the last years? You mentioned that a lot of companies have come on to manufacture, especially for like Amazon sellers, but have you seen like any other changes?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I've been using it for maybe like 10, 11 years, and it's changed quite a lot. And to be honest, it's probably changed like for the better. There was definitely a lot less like scammers on the platform before. They've kind of emerged recently, but there's just a lot more suppliers on the platform now as well. Like for whatever product that you type in, you'll find like hundreds of suppliers, and that can be like overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking for, that you have to navigate through all these different suppliers. But at the same time, Alibaba has like become quite user friendly, and it is so easy to navigate, and you can actually search exactly for what you're looking for. So when you switched from products to suppliers, that tab on the top, on the left side, you can select like the certificates that you want, the number of employees that they have in their factory. A number of employees is important because like if you're a beginner and you're new and you're getting started and you want a low MOQ, a low minimum order quantity, that's a lot better to work with like smaller factories, because the bigger factories are more like strict in their processes and their disciplines and stuff like that. So if you have like the smaller factories, then they're a lot more willing to sort of do low order volumes, try different colors and stuff like that. So yeah, the platform's definitely changed, and for the better and for the worse. For the worse because there's more scammers, but for the better because there's a lot of like, you have a lot more choice in terms of like who you can work with, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very interesting. So you have like a lot of experience like sourcing on the platform, and you have been living in their culture. What would you recommend? Like which source or way of communication is the best to talk with the Chinese manufacturers? Is it like on the platform itself or somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think you need to be quite multi-channeled in your approach of how you speak to them, because initially that initial request should come from like Alibaba, but then I like to switch it off of Alibaba and go to email. You know, anything you're talking about, you know, pricing, delivery dates, any essential things to do with your order, like sending your artwork. I like to do that just by email. It's a little bit more official. And then I like to chat informally to the suppliers as well to build that relationship. And for that, I would get their WeChat, and like, you know, depending on what you're doing on the weekend, if you go out, if you're with your friends, like if you go to a football game, whatever, I like to take photos and share that with my supplier to be like, hey, this is what we do on the weekend. They also share what they're doing. And you kind of build that rapport and build that friendship, which always helps in the long term. But I would say that if it's your first order or first time working with a factory, it's best to keep all that communication on Alibaba if you're selecting trade assurance, because trade assurance is what protects you from anything that could go wrong in your order. Let's say, for example, like you order 1,000 blue pillows, but they send you like red pillows. Well, if you have trade assurance, then you'll get a refund on your order. But if you take that communication off of Alibaba into email, then that wasn't noted on the platform, and then you won't get your refund. So if it's the first time, second time, and you're using trade assurance to protect yourself, then keep it on the platform. But once you've done a few orders and you've built up that trust and everything's going smooth, I kind of like to take it off of Alibaba, and so do the suppliers, because the suppliers then have to pay that fee for trade assurance and stuff like that. So they also want to move it off of there.
Okay, that's a really good tip to keep everything like super safe at first, at least. But would you recommend like having like a Skype call or like a video call with them as well? Because most of the sellers usually just go back and forth in Skype or somewhere like this, and they actually never see the person like who is behind the computer.
Yeah, that's a great point. And what I like to do is on WeChat, you can do video calls. And what I like to do is I like to just get a better understanding, because I've spent so much time in China that I normally go to the factories myself. But if you don't have the means to get out to China and you want to understand a little bit more about what their production line looks like, I always like phone them during their working hours and I say, hey, if you don't mind, can you just go down to the production line with your camera phone and just show me like what's going on and what type of machinery you have, and you know what the packing area, what the QC area looks like. and then you can kind of see that for yourself. But as you said, you also want to build that like face to face. You want to put like a face to the name as well, because they get a lot of inquiries, and you also want them to like remember you and, you know, hear your accent no matter what part of the world you're from, because people order from like Brazil, from Africa, from USA, from Europe. Like you want to get to know them, you know. So it's super important in sort of developing that trust and building that relationship to have some sort of face to face communication.
Okay, that's cool. So like good personal communication is like building a really good base for like business relationship as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So what tips do you have to share to sellers, like regarding, you probably are well aware of the challenges sellers have like sourcing from China or from Alibaba. So could you give like any good tips to do this?
Yeah, I mean, how long do you have? Because as I said before, it's very, very important to align with the right manufacturer, and that can come in like various different forms. But like the more research you do, the better. And it's like, I've seen quite a lot of sellers who are like, okay, this is a product that I'm looking for. They search for it. They find a supplier. They get a price. Okay, price is reasonable. I've checked it in my costings. It's good margin. Okay, cool. I'm going to order from them. And then like whenever they have problems, they come to me and they say like, all right, how do I fix this? And I was like, well, who is your backup supplier? And they're like, oh, I didn't get one. I was like, it's like whenever you're quoting like or you're getting your item priced up, like you should be talking to at least like 5 or 6 different manufacturers, and then you should also be getting sampled up from various different manufacturers as well to see like how the quality and the price like vary. So I would say the first thing you can do is really align with this sort of top 5 manufacturers, which you think, okay, they're quoting the best price based on the specification sheet that I've prepared. Now I want to make sure that their quality is in line with that as well. So you request all the samples, and you have like 5 different samples in front of you to say, all right, this is the price, this is the quality. I'm happy with this one. This is the best value. I'm going to work with them. But if for any reason things go wrong and that supplier like lets you down or whatever reason, you also have like another 3 or 4 suppliers that you've selected where you also have their price and samples. So you can just immediately go to them and be like, okay, cool, get ready. We're going to be doing an order in the next couple of months. Rather than having to go through that process again, you kind of just do the work once, and you also like continue those relationships with the people that even if you're not doing business with them, just to be like, hey, unfortunately it didn't work on this occasion. You can blame someone else. You can say my manager decided to go with like, you know, this company, but I would like to definitely keep you in mind for future orders. So if you're ever developing any new products, it would be great if you could send me anything new that you're working on, and we can consider that for future orders. That way you're also now keeping ahead of like what's new on the market and what they're working on and what they're developing, and then you can be first to market with it as well.
Okay, so I know that a lot of people who are not selling yet are usually wondering, are you really ordering like 5 to 10 samples at home? Is it really the way to do it? Do you have any tips like regarding to how to get all the samples at home? Because sellers could be anywhere, like you said, in US, in Europe. Is there a way to get all the samples at once, or how does it usually work?
Yeah, so it's a good point, because like if you're trying to get prices and samples from like maybe 5 or 6 different suppliers, it can be expensive to send like 5 or 6 different like products separately. But what I like to, I mean, luckily for me, I've got an office in China, so I just send it all to the office. They bundle it and send it. But I would also say it's most cost effective when you can bundle. And there's a few things you can do. Like if you're already doing business, right, then you've probably worked with an inspection company before. Your inspection company will have an office and you've already worked with them before. So they want to now help and support you. So what you can say is, hey, by the way, I've got these like 5 or 6 samples coming from different parts of China. Can I just send them to your office? Can you just put them in one box and send it to me, and I'll just pay the invoice for the freight? They don't mind receiving this and putting it in a box for you. That's just them doing a very, very quick favor for you, but they've probably saved you a few $100s. So you can ask like your quality control company, you can ask your shipment company, and like if you want to be a little bit cheeky, you can also ask one of the factories as well to be like, hey, I'm actually getting multiple samples here. Do you mind if I just get them all sent to you? Like the one that you've had that face-to-face communication with and you've built up a bit of a friendship with them. And some people don't feel comfortable doing that. And I would just say it purely depends on the type of relationship that you have with the manufacturer. I do that sometimes as well. So it's just, if you're comfortable doing that, that will save you quite a lot of money. But I would try your QC company or your shipping company, and then last resort, one of the manufacturers.
Okay, so as we are now speaking of samples, I just came up with a question. Let's say a seller has like a really good product idea, which is like more innovative than the products that are already on the market, and really wants to know if there is like any manufacturer who could produce it. So should they go on Alibaba and tell their idea right away, or just first build up the communication just on the basic product, and then later, once the relationship is like grown, tell about this improvement idea?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think it purely depends on like really how much innovation you have within your product. Because what I've noticed is that whenever someone's got an idea for a product, they treat it like their baby. They're so protective of this idea and of this product, like they're inventing like the next spacecraft. But it's like really the product is just a slight change, a slight improvement, a slight modification from something that they've seen before. So I would say like if it's just a slight update, don't worry about it. Just give them all their details up front at once. But if you've really designed something of innovation, something of value, which is not on the market, you've never seen this before, and it really solves a lot of problems for a lot of people, then you really want to protect yourself. And as you said, like quote for similar products, so you get an idea of who's actually willing to work with you in the best way and offer you the best price, and then start to share the information. But you can also protect yourself by getting the manufacturer to sign an NNN document, which is a non-disclosure, non-compete, and non-circumvention. And you can get that in English and Chinese, and then get them to sign something like that, so you're legally protected. And then if you really want to protect your idea, you can also get a design patent on your product, design patent or utility patent based on what is the purpose of the product in your home market. So a lot of people are like fear their manufacturer to be like, oh, what if they copy me? But forget your manufacturer, like your competitors could copy you, like your competitors could grab your idea, send it to another manufacturer, and that other manufacturer has no idea that there's any sort of protection on it. So things get copied, and just take it as a compliment that it happens, that you're good at developing what you do. But the best way to protect yourself is having it designed, registered in your own market, so you can legally take it off sale if anything happens. But yeah, in terms of it all comes down to how much innovation is actually there within your product, and then sort of decide what you want to do.
Okay, very good information. So I think I also wanted to ask you, like, what is like the one thing you wish you would have known when you first started out? And is there like anything else you would like to share with the viewers regarding like how to source products?
Yeah, I think the best lesson that I've learned have always been from actually being in China myself. And I know that like Alibaba is convenient, you know, like sourcing products is just one aspect of this journey. But really like the best way to sort of fast track building that relationship, really understanding how products are made, really getting the best prices, and basically like winning, because like a lot of people see the margin and the selling price of the product, but actually the margin is also a lot to do with the buying price as well. If you've been sourcing something for $10, but you could have been getting it $8 all along, we've just saved $2 on your unit cost, which could then go towards like PPC or Facebook ads or hiring, whatever. But like you really understand how products are made, and the suppliers really take you seriously once you go to their place of business and you visit China, because anyone who goes to China is now considered like a serious buyer because they're in China to do business compared to the people. And there's nothing wrong with doing it on Alibaba, but you just get a lot more benefits from going to China. And I was lucky enough that when I first started in this like over 10 years ago, the first thing I did was get on a plane and go to China. Now, because I understand how everything works, I can go on Alibaba and just sort of figure out the best way to do business. But it's hard like to really like learn all these lessons online. So best advice I could give to anyone is just get on a plane and go to China and really learn how all this stuff is done, and then apply that knowledge to then becoming a better user of online platforms like Alibaba.
That's awesome advice. So yeah, I really hope like all of the sellers, or at least most of the sellers, can go to China at least once. But yeah, the more the better, of course. So if sellers or the viewers have like questions to you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It'd be great if you want to connect with me. I have a Facebook group called Sourcing with Kian, and that's just basically anyone who's got any questions about sourcing. It's an awesome community. They just type it in and either I or the community answer it, as well as I have my own YouTube channel as well, also called Sourcing with Kian, where every week I just put out videos around different topics on sourcing, how to get the best price, how not to get scammed, how to get a low MOQ, on all this sort of stuff, how to use Alibaba. So loads of different topics. So I would love it if you could connect with me on YouTube or on Facebook.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for such an interesting chat, and we wish all the best in your business.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. And I'll see you soon. Take care.
I do hope that you learned something from this conversation with Kian Golzari. And before I say goodbye, I want you to remind to subscribe to the YouTube channel of Orange Klik, and also please watch the next video we offer here, because it will be related and useful. Bye bye. Watch. And see you in the next video.